All right, let's dive in. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the hidden science behind every single choice you make. We're going to break down the economic theory that explains why you pick one thing over another, and you'll see how it really shapes your world.
Just think about it for a second. This morning, did you choose coffee or tea? For dinner, is it going to be pizza or tacos? I mean, these feel like super simple personal choices, right? But get this, economists have spent more than 100 years trying to build the perfect model to explain what is actually going on in your brain when you make that call.
Okay, so to really get into your choices, we have to start with this one core idea: utility. Now, in economics, utility is just a fancy word for the satisfaction you get from something. And listen, it's not about how useful an item is, like in a practical way. It's all about the pleasure, the fulfillment, the good vibes it brings you.
So, the first big swing at solving this puzzle came from an economist named Alfred Marshall, and he asked a pretty wild question. What if satisfaction wasn't just, a feeling? What if we could actually measure it, put a number on it, just like we measure length or weight? This whole idea that you could assign a number to happiness, well, that became the cornerstone of his theory, which we call cardinal utility. And this quote right here, this is Marshall's big idea in a nutshell. It's called the law of diminishing marginal utility. All it really means is this: the more you have of something, the less you enjoy getting one more of it. Think about it. That first slice of pizza is just incredible, right? But the eighth slice? Yeah, not so much.
Let's make this super clear with an example. Okay, imagine for a second we can measure the utility you get from drinking tea. That first cup, amazing. It gives you, say, 30 units of satisfaction. The second cup is still pretty good, but it only adds another 20 units to your total. Fast forward to the fifth cup, and the extra satisfaction you get, that's the marginal utility, has plummeted all the way down to just 8. You're just getting less and less of a kick with each new cup.
And if you're a visual person, this chart lays it all out. You can literally see the satisfaction from each extra cup, that marginal utility, just dropping, dropping, dropping. This is the heart of Marshall's theory, right here. The more you consume, the less you value that very next one.
But, and this is a big but, this is where the whole theory starts to get a little shaky. I mean, can you honestly say that a coffee gives you exactly 30 units of happiness while a tea gives you 20? Come on, satisfaction is so personal, so subjective. Trying to stick a hard number on a feeling, it just feels wrong, fundamentally flawed.
And hey, that's not even the only problem. This cardinal theory, it's got some other big weak spots. For one, it assumes that $1 is always worth the same to you. But we all know that's not true, right? $1 means a whole lot more when you're broke than when you're rich. It also totally ignores how goods are connected. I mean, the utility you get from a car completely depends on the price of gas. So yeah, economists knew they needed a better model.
So, if trying to measure satisfaction with hard numbers is a dead end, what's the alternative? Well, a much better idea came along from two economists, Hicks and Allen, and their insight was frankly brilliant. They said, you don't need to know how much more you like coffee than tea. You just need to know that you prefer it. The real solution wasn't to measure satisfaction. It was just to rank it.
Okay, here's the best way to think about the difference. Marshall's cardinal approach, that's like rating a movie on a scale of 1 to 10. You're giving it a specific number, like an 8. But the ordinal approach from Hicks and Allen, that's more like making your top 10 movies of all time list. You know which one is number 1, number 2, and so on, but you're not trying to say exactly how much better your favorite is than the runner-up. And let's be honest, that's way more realistic to how we actually think, isn't it?
Now, to actually map out these rankings, they came up with a really clever tool. It's called an indifference curve. And all it is a line that shows all the different combinations of two things, let's say apples and oranges, that would make you equally happy. Any point on this curve, you'd be like, yep, I'm good with that. You are literally indifferent between any of those options. Check this out. Here's the actual data that would make up one of these curves. So look at combination A. You've got 1 apple and 10 oranges. Cool. Now jump down to combination D, 4 apples and 4 oranges. What this table is saying is that you'd be just as happy with either of those bundles. You're totally willing to trade some oranges to get your hands on more apples. And this idea of a trade-off, it has a name, of course. It's called the marginal rate of substitution, or MRS for short. All it measures is how many oranges you'd be willing to part with to get just one more apple, without changing your overall happiness level. And what's really interesting is that your willingness to make that trade, well, it changes depending on how much you already have.
So these curves, they're not just random squiggles. They follow 4 really important rules. First, they always slope downwards because, well, you always have to give something up to get something else. Second, they're bowed inwards. That's a fancy way of saying the more apples you already have, the fewer oranges you're going to give up for yet another one. Makes sense, right? Third, higher curves are always better. They mean more satisfaction. And finally, 2 curves can never ever cross or touch.
Okay, so let's recap. Indifference curves give us this beautiful map of your desires, everything you want. But that's only half the equation, isn't it? The other half is the cold, hard reality of the real world. What can you actually afford?
And for that piece of the puzzle, economists have another tool. It's called the budget line. It's just a simple straight line that shows all the possible combos of 2 things you could buy, given your income and what they cost. You can think of it as your shopping possibility frontier. If it's on the line, you're using your whole budget. If it's outside the line, sorry, you can't afford it.
All right, here comes the magic. We're going to put the 2 pieces together. Your best possible choice, your personal sweet spot, happens right at the point where what you want, your indifference curve, just, and I mean just, touches what you can afford, your budget line. This perfect little point has a name. It's called consumer equilibrium. It's the spot where you get to the absolute highest indifference curve possible, the most satisfaction you can get, while still staying on your budget line. This theory says that's it. That's the single most rational choice you can possibly make.
And I want to be super clear here. This is not just some abstract exercise with lines on a graph. This model is an incredible way to describe the subconscious math your brain is doing every single time you face a trade-off. It doesn't matter if it's choosing what to buy at the grocery store or just deciding how to spend your Saturday afternoon. So why should you care about any of this? Because this theory is working on you all day, every day. It's the reason streaming services offer different subscription bundles. It's why fast food places are always pushing their combo meals. It's why you get that gut feeling when a buy one, get one half off deal feels like a steal. It is the hidden logic behind pretty much all pricing, marketing, and yeah, even how you manage your own money.
Look, is this model perfect? No, of course not. But what it does brilliantly is reveal the elegant, subconscious trade-offs we are all making all the time. We might not be sitting there drawing graphs in our heads, but believe me, our brains are constantly weighing what we want against what we can afford. Which brings us to one last question for you to think about. Now that you know the theory of you, are you going to choose any differently next time?